We're running back the classics, man. It's time to go back to the 1850s, to the Wild West, where people just died from disease. The 2020s were going to be known as the time where everyone just started dying of dysentery again. And hey, if the gas stuff keeps going on, we might have to bring back horses too. So it really will be the Wild West. Before we get started, if you guys could give me a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I don't know, I read somewhere that it's actually pretty good to include it towards the beginning of the video. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm sure at this point you've probably heard about the new disease that's going around that's giving everyone like uncontrollable diarrhea. It's through the actions of our government that we are finding ourselves in this debacle. As with many of the modern ailments of contemporary life, it all goes back to Trump and the fact that we are completely captured. The government is completely run by like the biggest idiots on the planet. Earlier today, I read a Reuters article where apparently Michigan now has 8,100 cases of this new cyclosporiasis bacteria that's wreaking havoc across the nation. They're tracing this back. A lot of people are joking about this and saying that it's like Taco Bell. From any of the reputable sources are saying like they're saying like maybe, but more likely than not, it is from like lettuce from Taylor Farms, iceberg lettuce to be specific. And I wholly think that this was completely preventable. We used to have proper funding for the CDC for people that would check to make sure that these sorts of diseases would not get out of hand. We used to have much more regulations for people who would make food, for people who would grow food. But now it's like, okay, whatever. You want to go butcher cows in like absolute filth, go do that. You want to grow lettuce in absolute filth, go do that. We really don't care. As long as you're making us more money, that's all we care about at the end of the day. Because who cares if the poor's live or die? Like, this is only going to affect them. It's not going to affect the rich people. Why would they care? The Trump administration cut a lot of the funding that was supposed to go to Michigan and all these other states. But specifically, Michigan ended up losing almost 150 staff members that did this sort of work that would check to make sure that these infections would not get out of hand. There's a very clear return on investment. As you can see, it's like if 150 people are preventing 8,000 people from getting sick, and this is just one example, of course. I'll talk about a bit more what's going on too, but like we can see how this is like going to bubble. Like these people can't go to work, that's going to hurt the economy. Like there's a reason we pay for this stuff too. Like from a capitalist point of view, it's like this gives us a return on an investment. But the administration and most capitalists nowadays, they're way too short-sighted. They just want to make as much money as humanly possible, as inhumanly possible, honestly, because they don't care about humanity. So they're so short-sighted that it doesn't matter that we'll end up losing people that would help them for the labor force. I mean, I don't have to remind you guys of Doge and what that idiot Elon was doing, wheeling around his dumb little chainsaw, clearly compensating for something, as he cut all of the funding for so many useful programs that not only are good because we were doing good things, but they also benefited us. Like the screwworm thing. Like it's actually a good thing that we were helping like the people where this disease was a problem. But now it's come to hit us because we haven't dealt with it because all that funding was cut. And they always spin it in a silly way. It's like, oh, well, we were just releasing all these silly flies out into certain parts of the world. And it's like, yeah, that was actually really useful. And now our beef is going to take a quality hit because of that. It's the same thing. I don't know if you guys remember when they were talking about like transgender mice for a little bit, that became like a little buzzword for them. They are illiterate. They are baboons. They don't know how to read. It's transgenic mice, what they wanted to say. And this was also very useful. Transgenic means that you're not changing the gender. It means that you're splicing the DNA of, the lab rats or whatever to try to solve diseases like cancer, try to save like people who are dealing with genetic anomalies, people who are more prone to deal with like genetic factors like Alzheimer's, which can be like a genetic thing. But it's a lot easier for them to just say like buzzwords. It's like what's more palatable to your brain if I just say like a buzzword like transgender mice, or if I just go on the diatribe that I just went on to explain to you that like this is actually useful. It's like that old saying that they say, lies gone halfway around the world before the truth has a chance to put on its pants or something like that. And it would of course be one thing if the government was just like really incompetent and they didn't want to fund these programs, even though, again, there is very clear return on investment. It's worth paying the money to deal with this sort of stuff. But it's not just that. It's the fact that they're actually kind of high key evil and like they don't want people to be healthy. That kind of leads me to this idea of like how they are like strongly pushing against the vaccines now. The CDC has kind of just taken this completely like anti-science tilt where it's like maybe vaccines cause not cancer. Maybe vaccines cause autism. We don't know. And it's like, yes, we do know actually. This worries me quite a bit because as someone who has, worked with children, I see that the measles cases are starting to rise a lot. What we're seeing in cases that we're looking at is that measles is back to where it was around the 1990s, and it doesn't really qualify as this sort of like defeated disease. Measles hasn't been a thing for about as long as I've been alive. Never really heard of it. I got my shots, um, I'm sure, but like it wasn't a thing, and now it's a thing again because enough people are listening to the government, to a bunch of cranks that like don't know what they're talking about when they tell you, oh, you don't really need to vaccinate. And we're starting to see the results of this. Measles cases are about at 2,000 for last year, which is a huge upswing from when it was like 10 years ago, like 10 times as many cases. And kids are starting to die from this disease again. We had 2 fatalities last year that were measles related, all because people aren't vaccinating. Wholly preventable disease. Essentially, it was eradicated up until the point we decided to just go on this full tilt of like ignoring science. It ultimately upsets me the most because when it comes to these sorts of things that are for the benefit of everyone, it's like, okay, we need to, tighten the belt. We need to make sure that we're not spending irresponsibly. But when it comes time to give funding to ICE so that they can kill people, when it comes time to give money to Israel so that they can kill people, it's like, here's an unlimited check, here's a blank check, do whatever you want with it. When it comes to increasing the salary of Congress people that have like half the year off and don't do anything, it's like, here's another blank check, give you guys another pay raise. When it comes to all these dumbass vanity projects that Trump has going, it's like, here's another check. There's money for everything except for all the important stuff, which is so frustrating. I mean, the last thing that I do want to say is that I am worried about these diseases coming back. And I was joking about us going to the Wild West, but it was a very brutish time. And I worry a lot about something like polio coming back, which is another thing I've heard epidemiologists talking about. It just sucks, for most of my life, I feel like stuff has been pretty cozy here. It hasn't been too bad. And it just feels like the last 2 years have just been us in like a very steep downward spiral. I mean, even if you had asked me 3 years ago, do I think we're on the decline? I would say, yeah, probably. But uh, I could have never pictured that things would have been this bad this quickly. I hate ending videos on like such a sour note. Um, I don't want anyone to accuse me of being a doomer, but it has been tough, I think, recently trying to see like the good is or where even is in these sort of situations. I do have faith that we will get through this, of course. I think the people that are causing all the suffering and pain need to be tried because they're criminals. But I think that's a video for another day. Again, please like, comment, subscribe. All that stuff really helps a ton. I would appreciate any feedback you guys have. I've been trying to edit these videos slightly differently. I've been trying to fix the audio issues. Hopefully it sounds a little bit nicer every video. But yeah, that's all I have for this one. Take care of yourself as always.